What's up, everybody? Eric and Jeff here with Sergeant of Arms. So we're going to answer a question that we've been getting asked a bunch, and have answered a ton over the years. Barrel break-in. You look on the internet, and there's a ton of different ways people do it. Some people say, "Don't barrel break-in, stupid. I'm just going to shoot it." Blah blah blah. Some people are like, shoot one, clean it for 3 rounds, and then some people say you got to do it for 5 rounds, and you get shoot 2 and for X amount of rounds, and 3, and cleaning all between that. So we're going to talk about how we do it. Jeff has a different way to do it in his barrels than I do on my barrels. So we've kind of been testing this over the last 7 years that we've been shooting together and friends, and you've been helping me out.
Yeah.
So to kind of have some real life data on what really matters. So my personal way that I do my barrels, whether it's a comp gun, a hunting gun, whatever, anything I want precision out of, is before I shoot it, I'm gonna clean it, and then I'm gonna go shoot about 10-ish rounds, 10 to 15 through it, and I'm gonna clean it again. And then after that, kind of gonna run somewhere. If I have the time, I'm gonna run somewhere right around 75 to 100 rounds through the barrel. After that, or get the barrel count up to 75 to 100 rounds after whatever my initial shot string was. If I don't have the time to do that, then I will clean it after. If I go shoot 20, 30 rounds and I don't have the whole day to put those rounds down in, or time that week to do it, I'll come back and I'll just clean the barrel so it's not sitting there with a bunch of carbon and crap in there for the next month or so before I get a chance to get the gun back out. Preferably, I like to be able to do it all in about a week's time frame, or 2 to 3 days at most, or typically if I can get to the range and get some rounds down it. Personally, I've never had any accuracy issues doing that. Everything's been good. At that 75 to 100 round mark, I will completely strip the barrel. I will copper, use Vortec eliminator on everything in the shop. For my guns and all the stuff that comes out of the shop, both of us run the same exact stuff. I'll clean it, and then I'll JB bore paste it to clean up any stuff that's still in there. And then I'll just shoot the gun. And then about depending on what gun it is, like comp guns, they get cleaned every 300 rounds. So basically every match. By the time you shoot, foul it in, get some training with it, and then shoot the match, you're about 300 rounds. So it gets cleaned every. Then my hunting guns, they get cleaned a little more often. About every 175-ish rounds. 150 to 175, I try to clean those guns, because you may go out and shoot 1 round, or you may go out and shoot 30 rounds that night. Kind of depends on whether how good a night you had. And then it may sit for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, depending on your schedule, and also how lucky you've been finding animals. And that's what the worst thing on a barrel is, just letting them sit for a long period of time with carbon and copper and humidity and all the other stuff building up in there. So those get cleaned a lot more often than my comp guns do on round count wise.
I throw a patch of Kroll in them when I'm going to leave them for 2-3 weeks. I just throw like 2 patches of Kroll and kind of walk off.
Yeah, on the comp guns especially, like you get back from a comp, go shoot a couple rounds through it just to check, zero migration and muzzle velocity migration throughout that match. And then after that, they come back and get completely stripped out, and then a patch of Kroll goes down, and they go over onto the wall until we're ready. Get time to shoot those again. My hunting guns, they always get Kroll in them. It doesn't matter, just because I know what Kroll does. Penetrates that metal real well, and it'll help protect it, and I found it makes it easier to get the crap out of the barrel.
Yeah, that's fair.
After that, so you don't have any buildup or anything like that. It just helps protect it while it's sitting in a safe or on the wall at the shop or whatever.
Found it shrink some of the first round
migrations,
randomness sometimes. That's just more of an anecdotal over.
Last 2 years we've been doing that.
I think you started 2 or so years
Yeah.
ago. I did it. Probably
the same.
4 or 5 is when I started.
Yeah.
But I wasn't real sure it mattered. It took
Yeah.
a long time to get that. Does it matter after it sits there for 3 weeks? Kind of
Yep.
input.
So how do you break your barrels in?
I've done it 100 different ways. I've also screwed up a couple barrels. It is what it is. I like to clean it a lot initially. I like to shoot 1 or 3, and then I'll patch it. I don't even care about the accuracy. I mean, I'll get the scope generally close to where it needs to be during those. But that's about it. And I'll patch it, basically after every single shot. I'll throw 2 or 3 patches for the first 5 shots. And then I'll do like 3-shot series. And I'll patch 2 or 3 patches down it. And then same thing until I get to about 20 rounds. And I'll honestly clean it. Grab a nylon brush and patches. Nowadays, Vortec Eliminator, throw 6 or 7 patches of that down there, stroke it 10 times with their little nylon brush, and patch it out 6 or 7 more times, and it's done. And then I'll probably shoot that till right at 100 rounds. Or if I start to notice accuracy kind of doing some funkiness, like I'll probably just run out to the range and do a little bit of practice session with it and goof off, and the load's going to be the same as the last one. I mean, we cut the barrels the exact same. Maybe some minor tweaks, but nothing crazy. So I'll just run that whole load till it gets to 100 rounds, which will be that day. And then I'll patch it out with Vortec again. I'll run a nylon brush, then JB it for 10 strokes, and then patch it back out, and then I'll do the same thing at 200 rounds.
Yeah.
And basically for the rest of the barrel, it's going to be about every 300 rounds.
At 200 I clean mine as well and JB it. But and we've been doing this test for some time. Like I said, we've been kind of shooting and working together for about 8 years now. Even before you moved to Texas and went full time with the company, so. What we have found over this, and like I said, we've tested quite a few different methods, is his method versus my method might yield like a 0.1 better in accuracy.
A tenth of an MOA is about
maybe
as best we can come up with.
But on the flip side, Jeff is also about a tenth and a half better shooter than I am. So, that might,
That's not how our last range outing went.
Well, but that's not the norm. We can't. It's almost non-measurable at that point between the two of us. I gotta hop on his gun and shoot his gun. I shoot the same as I do on my gun, and he kind of shoots the same on my gun that he shoots on his gun. So, we really haven't been able to quantify this way is better than this way. I will say that both ways are still better than just going to the range and running a bunch of ammo through it.
Absolutely.
Without doing anything to it. Somewhere sub 20, the first 20 rounds, it needs to be clean is what we found. Because I ran some did a couple barrels that shoot 50 rounds and see what happens. And that barrel did well. I mean, it didn't shoot like crap, but that one floated a little higher than the half MOA that we're used to. We're used to shooting down in that 0.3, 0.5 range type deal, and this one was kind of in that 0.45 to 0.7 range. So there was some accuracy there, and I've done that on a couple barrels. But when it comes down to the which way is better, and there's a ton of data out there, from guys that have been shooting bench rest for years, but a lot of their stuff, I'm not saying their data is wrong, but a lot of their data may have came from 30 years ago when the barrel material and the honing and the hand lapping and stuff like that wasn't where it is today. Most of the time what you see in stuff today is it's gotten worse we've gotten newer, or today's age, where they don't make appliances like they did 20 years ago. Barrels, on the other hand, are getting better. as time goes on because of machining practices and understanding material and metals better. So there is. It's not we're shooting a better barrel today than we were 30 years ago. Even 20 years ago, 10 years ago, the materials have gotten that much better and machining processes have.
Even some of my best shooting barrels, though, that first 100 rounds, things have changed.
Yep.
The load generally comes together really close to where it was.
Yeah.
But what I've found is no matter how much you clean it, what you do for your break-in, just expect some accuracy changes through that first 100 rounds. Don't get upset if you get to 15 rounds and you've got a 1.2 MOA group down there and you're like, oh my, me too. I would want to throw the thing in the trash. But I've definitely gotten the first 15 rounds and way past an inch group down there. Clean it and the thing shrinks right back up to some 0.6s, some 0.5s, some 0.7s. Clean it again. Shrinks to some 0.3s, some 0.5s, some 0.6s.
Yep.
Kind of ebbs in those areas.
And then you'll see it it'll hit a spot and it'll open back up because you hit that speed migration. It sped up and I've seen this numerous times where you'll shoot 2 or 3 shots and man, this is gonna be a great group. And all of a sudden that bullet the next bullet jumps an inch high. It's like, what? I didn't pull that.
And then it settles up there.
And then it settles up there, and it's like, okay. And that's why, a lot of times anymore, especially with the new Garmin Chrono, you can just toss that thing up there and let it hang out, and you can literally watch that barrel, that speed migration, and watch it downrange. You can see it downrange. You can see it right there, and it explains a lot of stuff to you on, well, why did that bullet just go right where it did? Oh, I just jumped up 20, 30 feet per second.
Or 80.
Yeah.
I started this at 25, 50, and then, a 150 round day on a brand new barrel.
You'll see
You
a
might be
big
100
migration.
foot per second, 80,
Exactly.
whatever. It's going to be up there.
And all barrels, different barrels settle in at different speeds or different round counts.
Cartridges.
Cartridges are definitely.
Under, short, fat cases migrate different than long, skinny cases. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, Schwagging answers about the 200 round mark. Everything will really settle in, and it'll kind of be the load for the barrel.
Yeah, your 6 GTs, they kind of like that 250-ish.
They do not go as fast.
Yeah, but your 6 Creed, your 6x47s, 22 Creed, those all, I've never really seen a jump over over the 200 round count. I've never seen it jump. 6 ARC kind of does about 200 to 250.
Yeah.
22 ARC kind of about the same. It'll be a little closer to that 200 mark. 308, about 400, 500 rounds.
It'll finally settle in.
Yeah. Not saying it won't shoot well, but don't.
Oh no, it hammers initially.
But don't be, if you're especially shooting long range, if you're out shooting and you're like, man, why my dad is not tracking today? It's probably because you're under that 400 or 500 round mark and you hit another speed up spot. And a 308 is very, very slow to speed up. You don't, those little fast 6 mils, you'll see big jumps really fast. 308, it's just like the cartridge, just real slow and easy going. It's not going to do anything fast. So just, know your cartridge. 6.5 Creed's about 250-ish.
About 200 is what I usually see.
Okay.
I'm not running slow loads though.
Yeah. I was going to say, it kind of, also barrel material kind of plays into it.
Yeah, barrel material, how it's made,
Yep.
yada, yada, yada. We're just talking about the ones that we make, produce, you're getting and shooting.
I think Drew's 6.5 kind of took about that 225, 230 mark.
Okay.
Yeah. So, these numbers are not dead on because lots of material, different metals, stuff like that. But somewhere in that general vicinity, about the only ones that I can say, hey, the hot 6 mils and the really hot 22s, you hit that 200 round mark. I've never seen one move after that.
223. I think I even got a couple cards in there of a little over 1,000 rounds, the same load, just
Yeah.
still migrating up.
Yeah, 223s take forever to pick up all their speed.
It just is.
6.5 Grendels are pretty about that 200, 250.
I only had 2 barrels of that, so I don't know that I have enough.
Yeah.
Speak of
Kind of talking with some other people, like what
Wicked
you saw.
accuracy, though.
Yeah, what you saw, what I saw, and what I've, some people that we trust have seen, it's about that 200, 250 mark. So that's kind of the general swag at barrel break in is 200 to 250 as far as settling down on speed. Accuracy, once, I don't think I've really had much shift after 100 as far as accuracy goes.
Mine has just like continued to get closer and
Yeah.
like smaller and smaller and smaller,
Yep.
and just kind of ebb and flow in that 0.3 to 0.6 range. Kind of depends on bad group, good group. Jeff's got a great day, just cleaned it, whatever.
Yeah. So when it comes to the barrel break-in process, like I said, this is our 2 methods. You can ask a lot of great shooters out there what their method is. Some people do it differently than others. Fine, if it works for you and you've actually tested it, cool, go with it. If you don't know what you're doing, you can choose one of our 2 methods. Kind of depend on your work schedule and your time, because most of us don't have all the time in the world. Some of us do, but most of us do not. So if you only have time to do my method because it's a little faster, it's not going to have any detriment on your accuracy and performance. If you have the time and you're going to go hang out of the range all day and you're just that's your where you're gonna relax, take Jeff's method.
Definitely going to take you all day.
Yeah, it is a slow process.
Don't do it on a windy day in front of a dirt berm.
Yes,
General heads up.
but yeah. So if you're in Oklahoma, Texas, Midwest, like, good luck. But yeah, just take what we've passing down. This is literally years of testing this method to be able to put out actual data to you all. So, but don't just take our word for it. Go test it yourself. Quantify the data for you that we're putting out. And I think that's, I saw Scott talking about that over the last week or a couple of days of we're putting data out, but go test it yourself because every gun's different. Doesn't matter. So hopefully you all enjoyed this little bit of information. If you have any more questions about it, like I said, always reach out to us. We'll try to help you out as best we can. So until then, see y'all on the range.